Good morning. This is the first opportunity I've had to post a YouTube video, and I've chosen to do this because I guess, like everybody else who's been sent home more or less during the COVID pandemic, we're looking for something to do, and I think that this is something that can be helpful to everyone. And I've chosen the channel name Larry the Law Guy because my name is Larry Wilder, and it does have some relevance. And the overall heading is, what's law got to do with it? Which kind of gives us an opening to do things other than talk about the law, which is what lawyers love to do incessantly and are usually pretty boring and sometimes maybe entertaining. But more importantly, I think that I want to point out that I'm going to do this a whole lot like you do, or I do, opening arguments and closing arguments in a case. I've got some notes, things I think I want to talk about. I've thought about what I wanted to say. I've practiced it in my head, and now I'm sitting down here, and this is just going to be a free flow. There will be no editing because, I don't know how to edit. So it really makes it a lot better to just kind of be a talker. And that's how we're going to do it to begin with, and see how this goes, and maybe I get more skills, and maybe we learn to edit, and then maybe it just goes away because nobody cares. But with all of that said, I think that the most important thing to talk about today is something that's on everybody's mind, which I'm sure is the COVID pandemic, and I want to talk about the COVID pandemic in the courts, because the COVID situation has changed courts. It's changed the profession that I'm in. It's changed the things that you are expected to do if you, as a non-lawyer, have court matters. And what's happened, and I'm here in Indiana, and what has happened in Indiana, and it seems to be as well in Louisville, which is right across the bridge from where I am here in Jeffersonville, is that the Supreme Courts of the states have given the local courts and counties and judges a lot of latitude to determine what they believe is the safest way to do business. And I think that's smart because, as we've seen throughout states, there are certain counties and certain places that have been very minimally affected by the COVID pandemic. And then there are other places like Marion County, Indiana, Indianapolis, and in Louisville, which is larger, have had a larger outbreak. And even here in Clark County, I saw last night, which was May 17th, that we have about 600 reported cases. And Clark County is not huge, so that's quite a few cases. So with that in mind, the judges in each county have seemed to take into consideration that their county's different and how they handle court should be different. Here where I am in Clark County, our judges have been very conscientious about making sure that we limit the number of, one, people in the courtrooms, and two, matters that are being brought to court. And what that means is you are not required to come to court in many instances immediately in misdemeanor minor criminal cases. In fact, one of the things that's happened as a result of COVID is that individuals are not being taken to jail, and they're being written citations or tickets for things that usually would have landed you in jail. So, drunk driving cases, people are being stopped, and those individuals are being charged. They've been taken into custody for the breathalyzer test, and then they've been given a date to return, and that's usually sometime in June. And this is being done because the sheriff conscientiously doesn't want to have a lot of people in and out of the jail, a confined space where they may expose one another to this virus. So that's a big change. The population of the Clark County Jail is dramatically smaller than it had been in the past because so many individuals with nonviolent offenses, drug offenses, probation violations for things that weren't of a violent nature were released from custody, placed on home incarceration, daily reporting and calling into probation officers, different things of that nature, in order to not encourage the virus to spread throughout the jail. People leave the jail and it spreads throughout the community. So this is a good thing. It was a smart thing, but it's important if you're one of those folks who was not taken into custody or released as a result of this, you got to go back to jail. You got to go back to court and I say got to go back. You really don't have to go back to jail. If you don't go to court when you're supposed to, you'll go back to jail. They'll issue a warrant for your arrest. Then when they put you in jail, the pandemic will not be as prevalent, and it's going to be hard for you to get out on bond, because what you've done is you've demonstrated that you don't take it seriously. Court is not serious to you, and that's a really important thing. If you've got a court matter, you need to go. You need to take it serious. You need to show up, and when you show up, you show the judge and the prosecutor that you are someone who is responsible enough to try to work through whatever your charge is and to change the behavior that got you there. If you're guilty. If you're innocent, it's a whole different matter. We'll talk about that later on in a different podcast or YouTube channel video. So that's one of the things that's happened in the system. People aren't being taken to jail. People are released from jail. People are being given dates, and they're expected to come back. And those dates are usually June, July. It's the middle of May right now. That's an important thing. It's a smart thing. It's something that should have happened. Another thing that has changed is right now the judges and the courts are only hearing cases, which they consider are constitutionally important cases, in the sense, if someone is in jail, you have a constitutional right to bond. So they're having bond hearings. They're having initial hearings for those few who are taken into custody and who are trying to get a bond, because your freedom is a constitutionally protected thing. So if your freedom's at issue, that's something that the courts are doing. The limitation on the matters that the courts are hearing in court live and in person are very narrow, which is smart, because there's no need to having a whole bunch of people sitting around to talk about a case and take up a case that's not something that can't wait until we're a little safer, a little further from this outbreak, and have a little better understanding of where we are. So if you have a case and you're frustrated by the fact you can't get to court, understand that one of the reasons is the Indiana Supreme Court has given the local courts kind of marching orders to be smart about exposing people to the pandemic that we're facing. The other thing that's going on that's really unique and different, and when you've been practicing law over 30 years like I have, it's something that an old dog's going to have to learn, is a lot of this. There's a lot of Zoom meetings. And right now in Scott County, Indiana, Scottsburg, the judge there has offered, by way of an email this morning, to have a hearing that I have in late May by Zoom, where I would not have to come to Scottsburg. My clients could participate, hear the hearing, hear what's going on, hear the arguments. The judge would sit there on the bench, presumably, or even in his office, because you don't really need to be in the court. It just has to be recorded. And let the hearing happen. Everybody makes their arguments. Everybody hears those arguments, and then the judge can rule. And the reason he's offered it in this case is it's not a constitutional matter. It is a matter involving procedure. It's a matter involving discovery. It's not something that someone's freedom is based upon the result. And it's a conscientious thing that Judge Jason Mount in Scott County, the circuit court judge, chose to start doing here in Clark County. Judge Carmichael is doing the same thing. Judge Drew Adams, a circuit court 1 judge, he's actually doing that for the problem-solving courts. I was in court just the other day with a client who was going into Veterans Court. We were the only 2 individuals in the courtroom. The judge was high up on the bench, which is where they are, and more than 6 feet away. I wear a face mask, and I have been wearing a face mask in court since April. And my client was given a face mask to wear when he came into the courthouse, because in Clark County, the judges have ordered that everyone wear a face covering, a cloth face covering of some kind, when they are in court. Everybody else was on the Zoom meeting. All of these other individuals who are participants in this Veterans Problem Solving Court participated, and they all had their discussions about where they were, how they were doing, which is the support piece of that. And it was done by Zoom. My client did the things he needed to become a part of that, and he will become a part of this Zoom community until we are ready to come back. Those are smart things to do. That was a smart thing for Judge Adams to choose to do. He kept people supported, and they need support because those are support group type court functions. But justice did not grind to a halt, and people were moving into that program that were eligible. That was a unique way to handle the changes we're looking at, and that's what we're doing right now. We're kind of playing it by ear, and we're playing it on the fly, so to speak. So Judge Weber, who is another one of our judges, he's indicated that he is going to start looking at not having everyone show up for their pretrial at the same time, which is how we've done it in the past. And there would be 100, 150 people standing around in the hallway who all were scheduled to appear to talk to the prosecutor at 1:30. So you have 150 cases where the process is to speak to one of the 4 prosecutors, but you had everybody show up at 1:30. The lawyers were there, the people were there, and as Judge Weber's described it, at this point in time, we don't want to have a petri dish of potential virus in the hallway. So he's investigating and looking at ways to slot people into court and keeping the numbers down, and even discussing the potential of doing pretrial conferences this way, where again you don't have to have that face-to-face exchange where you run the risk of having a contact that will result in an exposure and someone ending up with this virus, which I take seriously, which I believe certainly when you're old like me, you're a higher percentage of people that it will be fatal for, and it's a serious matter. So I guess I've been told that you need to keep these right at 10 minutes for them to be interesting. So I'm over 10 minutes. So I'm going to bring this one to a close. And what I'm kind of thinking about doing is the next discussion we have is I want to talk about what the world of the law is going to look like with jury trials in this day and age of social distancing. And what I mean is this. I want to talk about how someone feels about the idea of showing up with 100+ people they don't know in the Clark County Courthouse, in the Jefferson County, Kentucky Courthouse, in the Scott County Courthouse, in a courthouse anywhere, New York City. How you feel personally about the idea of I'm going to sit in a room and I'm going to be a juror and I've got to be fair and impartial, but am I comfortable with just this whole setting? And what's it going to be like if everybody's wearing a face mask, and how you think that would affect your ability to judge, and how it will affect your ability to listen, and how it will affect your ability to be fair and impartial. So that's going to be the next topic, and I believe that I can try to figure out a way for people to have the ability to make comments. And in advance of that topic, though, if you've got any comments, any questions, anything you want to have me talk about, because right now that's just kind of where we're at. I'm talking, and I'm going to try to figure out other ways to do this. My email address is larrywilder@me.com, LarryWilder@me.com. You can send me an email. My webpage is larrywilderlaw.com. And obviously now this is hooked to Facebook. You can send me a Facebook message. I'm going to post this on this particular video about, hey, let's talk about this, about the jury trials. So again, first time doing it this way. Hope it's something that we can continue to do. Hope it's something people enjoy. I'm a lawyer. I love to talk, and damn, it's been tough. 80 some days without having people being forced to listen to me who can't talk back. So I'm Larry Wilder, and I'm on YouTube, Larry the Law Guy. So thank you very much. Look forward to this working out. And if it doesn't, well, you know what? I will go upon the trash heap of history, and it will no longer be Larry Wilder, the Law Guy.